Welcome to another edition of the Morning Shoot Around here on the Athletic NBA Daily YouTube feed. We go live every Wednesday mid-morning just to chat with you guys about the NBA and the goings-on, and just a nice little platform for us to talk a little bit deeper, maybe get some points out that we don't have time to typically on the regular Athletic NBA Daily. I'm Andrew Schlecht. With me, Dave DuFour, Es Baraheni. We are going to talk about the fallout from the draft lottery.
Gross.
And what it means for these particular teams. We can start with the Raptors if you want.
No,
let you get it off your chest. You want to wait?
Yeah, they're like the seventh most interest. I don't even know.
Oh, keep going. Keep going. Yeah. Keep going. They're like 28th, 29th most interesting. If we're being honest, come on.
Yeah, no, I mean, lottery wise, I don't think they're. 7 and 9 is not that big of a difference to me.
Yeah,
it would have been nice to jump to 1 or 2.
Yep.
And I know there was that whole thing yesterday where there were a bunch of reports coming out where it was like, oh, if it was this combination and they were one number off or one number this way and whatnot, like the Bulls were close to winning the lottery. The Spurs had the best odds at one point to win the entire thing and get number 1 overall, which would have just been
terrible.
This is why I don't gamble.
Yeah. Would the Spurs have been worse than the Mavericks for you guys?
Yes, absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely.
I don't know. I think it's kind of interesting, right? It turns into a 2K franchise then, right? Where you trade, you tank, or you don't even tank. You just trade away players and you get draft picks and you wind up with all the top picks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. If the De'Aaron Fox thing is kind of in the way there for it to fully be what it could be, but I don't know. I think the Dallas thing is the funniest thing that could have happened.
It's the funniest
by far.
It's the funniest. It's also the one where the conspiracy theories around it make more sense than the reality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The NBA has found themselves in a tricky spot because there's so many conspiracy theories that have existed throughout the NBA for years and years and years.
Yeah.
Lottery ones too, right?
Yes.
Right. I mean, one of the first ones was the frozen envelope for Patrick Ewing.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
And it's tough now because, like, you think about the Cavaliers losing LeBron James. Oh, sorry, guys.
Kyrie Irving.
We got you.
Kyrie.
Yeah.
We got the New Orleans Pelicans. Oh, man. Sorry about that. You guys going to LA? We got something for you. Oh, Mavericks, you know what? We really need a boost in the ratings.
Yeah, there you go.
What would help most is to get a star in LA. You know what? Don't worry. We got your back. Or bring a Cooper Flag.
You could really sell yourself on this, by the way. This is not.
Whoa,
It
makes how conspiracy theories
they
work,
do,
right?
Exactly. It's
because
so close.
You can bake anything you want into.
Exactly.
I can.
No. It makes way more sense than the reality that that team that had 1% chance to actually win it. Come on.
Well, 1% is a million. I mean, it's a huge chance.
There was 1,001 different combinations that could have happened.
Yeah.
And that was the It's people do bring up the basketball gods in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about it on the pod. It's like they work in mysterious ways. This was some sort of weird.
No one's working in a mysterious way. People are pulling strings. Come on. Give me a break. Basketball gods.
I do. It would, to me, look, and I've been on the record with this. If I was Adam Silver, if I was the commissioner, I would absolutely rig the lottery.
He's done a good job.
I would rig it every single year. I mean, if there was what's a cool, fun team that is one piece away from being like in the playoffs, like for you guys, right? Like, I don't know.
The Wizards are Cooper Flag away. Sure.
The Wizards were Cooper Flag away, let's say.
Yeah.
Okay, but are they cool and fun? I don't know. But they could be, right? Okay, let's throw them a bone. Maybe they don't get the first pick, but they need a guard. Give them the second pick. I would do that. Victor Wembanyama to the Spurs, that
but then it's
perfect.
It's like
I would have made
it is
sure that
perfect.
happened.
I agree that is perfect. The fact
Right.
that happened. That also felt, you know what? That you could believe
Everyone
literally anything.
that one.
You
Yeah.
could just believe
Yeah.
anything.
We could make it. We could go through. That's a redraft idea. Let's do a podcast where we go back and we bake a conspiracy for every single number one pick.
Yeah.
I feel like we could.
Okay.
Like if you
I
really
have a
wanted
conspiracy for the Andrea Baraheni draft.
Do you really?
Yes,
Give it
absolutely.
to us.
They knew
Please.
that the draft was going to be terrible. They're like, you know what? Let's give it to the Toronto Raptors because we know this number one pick is not going to be anything
Same
consequential.
with the Hawks. Same with the Hawks with Ricochet.
There you go.
Ricochet.
You know what? Hey, Hawks. You can
Well,
have this.
honestly, that's how you should rig it. Ricochet is going to be a third, fourth best starter on the Hawks in a couple years. That's what they need. They don't need to have Cooper Flag.
I have a really wild
They
idea.
have talent.
What if instead of a lottery they did like these pitches? Like I don't know if you guys have DECA in America. DECA is like a business thing where kids go out in tournaments and they like pitch these ideas and whatnot.
Are you a DECA guy?
I was a DECA guy.
That makes sense.
See that.
That makes sense.
I could totally see that. I love that.
Yep.
It makes me like it even more.
Yeah, you get up in a little suit and tie and you're like, well, this business presentation. NBA teams should do that for the lottery. Can
I expound on that?
Yes, go for it.
I've thought about this a lot. Okay. What you could do is a salary scale instead of a draft lottery. Worst record, you get to offer the most money in a rookie contract. And then the players.
Is that enough of an incentive though?
Well, depends. If you're Cooper Flag and the Wizards come and they say, hey, we can give you $30 million a year, 4-year contract, it's guaranteed as a rookie.
Not bad.
Or you're playing for the minimum or whatever
the minimum for the Lakers.
Lowest amount.
Idea sucks.
But it is a free market.
Endorsements.
Andrew,
Now
the problem is it's not meant to distribute talent. It's not meant to, because the best organizations are gonna.
That's the problem. That's the problem I have with all of this. Like, hey, we need to change it. I mean, here's the deal: no matter what happens, people are going to want to change it.
Yeah,
right.
There's no perfect system, and so
they voted 29-1 for the current odds, and they really hate it. And
the one team though,
the one guy that was right.
Yeah,
Sam Presti.
Yeah,
Sam Presti was right. Listen, that's
the next T-shirt, Andrew.
Sam Presti. Yeah, we had a Sam Presti shirt a long time ago.
Sam Presti was right would be a good one if they win.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that would be a good one.
That would kind of rock.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the biggest problems with the NBA is like there's not a fair and equitable way to get stars to small markets.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's what the lottery is basically for.
Yeah.
Is to get these markets that can't get these big name players a chance to have them at least for 8 years. Like that's what this is for. And when you start to like kind of peel back these layers and everything, it becomes even harder to accomplish that. And so like that's the system that's built. Yes, no one loves tanking, but there's trade-offs with everything that you put in place.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
And what if you just flattened the lottery completely, right? And maybe it was I would say all 30.
I hate
because you think that the bad teams deserve some sort of a chance to get talent. I mean, I guess because of the fact that small markets can't attract free agents.
How else you separate yourself? Like that's the problem is like you need to be able to separate yourself to give yourself a chance to get those players.
But there's a lot of teams that get stuck in the middle. Yeah. Right. That's the thing. You get stuck in the middle because like you take a guy and he's not, he's DeAndre Ayton.
Yeah.
That's
and then you're stuck. Right.
I've seen a lot of people bring up the Pistons. They're like, well, look, the Pistons the last 4 or 5 years got the 5th pick, right? Every single year. It's like, well, it's not the 5th pick that is making them what they are right now. Right. It's the number 1 pick, the Cade Cunningham, that changed their situation. I don't think anybody's going to go around saying, oh, well, the Spurs with Devin Vassell and Keldon Johnson and these guys were anything. It was Victor Wembanyama who changed their franchise. Yep. So I'm like looking at past drafts, even 2022, which is like the Paolo Chet draft.
Right.
Top of the draft is great. There are gems in the first round. You think of Jalen Williams, obviously, was in that draft for Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
You know, Tari Eason for the Houston Rockets was in there. Christian Brown was 20th. Those are good players. Jalen Williams obviously became an all-star, but it's few and far between compared to the top 10, which was Paolo, Chet. You know, obviously, Jaden Ivey, we'll see what happens. Dyson Daniels, Shaden, like the caliber of player changes. You know,
well, the other thing is top five picks don't win a lot of titles with the team that draft them.
Right. Yeah, it ends up being.
They haven't in a while. Like, what was the last top 5 pick that swung an NBA title?
Well, I mean, the Celtics last year, right? Like with Tatum and Brown.
Yeah, that's probably the last one. Yeah.
Is there another one?
Trying to think.
What was the last number 1 pick?
Man,
that swung it.
LeBron. You know, I think
Anthony Davis. Oh, well, not for their team, not for his respective team. Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing that's funny about this is like there's so much hand wringing about the number 1 pick,
right?
And the number 1 pick has in the past been the thing, like the catalyst for all these. Like you have your Tim Duncans and you have Shaquille O'Neal and all these players that truly did swing everything.
Yeah,
but it's been a while.
I guess you could say Kyrie now. Kyrie is probably 2011, right?
Everybody doesn't win it if LeBron doesn't go back.
It's a different world though. Like the talent curve is so different now than it was in the 90s, and I mean even the early 2000s. Like just players are so much better, right? Like so the bottom of the draft has come up closer to the top of the draft, which is that's another thing that's at play here, right? And it's part of why we have so much parity in the NBA is that there's so many good role players like Aaron Nesmith, right? Like this guy. He gets drafted by Danny Ainge just because of his body.
Yep. And
he turns himself into this kind of player. So it's just, I don't know. I do think it's tough because these small markets cannot compete. Like they just can't. Like no one's signing in Charlotte ever.
Yeah.
They just have to draft better, man. They just have to hope that like, I don't know, Derek Queen or Trey Johnson or whoever they end up picking at 5, 6, 7 is better than Dylan Harper or Ace.
I actually think, you know what? The teams that get out of that, you know what they're the best at is pro personnel scouting. They're the ones that find, like Ty Jerome, you know what I mean? They find those guys.
Yeah.
Okay, this guy just needs more of an opportunity.
Not a great time to bring up Ty Jerome, by the way.
Well, right.
Not the best.
But the NBA has gotten bad at that because it's not incentivized. There's no incentive to go out and make your team better with existing talent when you can sell this hope of a tank. And like, unfortunately, that's just kind of, it makes sense. Cause if you land Cooper Flagg, you've made hundreds of millions of dollars for your business. Yeah. So I understand it. Like, there's nothing sexy about going out and getting Davion Mitchell.
Yeah.
You know, hey, like Andrew Wiggins could be available this summer and he could make us a much better team, but I don't know.
There's
certain
teams
like the Wizards, right? Like,
there's certain teams that thrive on that, right? Like the Grizzlies do a good job of that. The Heat do a good job of that.
Unless you have the top players, though. Like those are players that fill around these top guys, but you still have to have a mechanism to get the top guys, and you can't really farm those guys off of teams.
Indiana has done a very good job of building a team.
They're unique.
Market. Cleveland too, right? Now Cleveland starting from nothing, right? After LeBron left.
Yeah.
So there is a path there to doing it, but those are franchises that are just run better, you know.
Yeah. But man, Cleveland got 2 top 5 picks in Darius.
That's what I was gonna say.
Right. That's fair.
They traded for Jared Allen. They were opportunistic in the Jared Allen.
Although Charlotte also has 2 top 5 picks.
It's true. Yeah. I mean, look, LaMelo and Brandon Miller. It's cool, but they have not nailed the other.
Is it cool?
I think it is. I think it is. I still think it's cool. I just
who's they going to get at number 4?
Who do you like it for them?
I haven't done any draft.
I think for them, it's like you pray that VJ Edgecombe is there.
Edgecombe is so good. Would be so good for them.
He's like
what does he do?
He's a two-way defensive monster, crazy athlete. Not a crazy guy who can like create for you offensively, but that's LaMelo and Brandon Miller's job anyways. He can take advantage of the openings that they create, you know. People have done like the Victor Oladipo comp. I'm not necessarily there yet. I don't think he has the like creative juice offensively off the bounce, but like as a two-way guy, at minimum, he can be like a really, really good wing.
Can he be a finisher?
Yeah.
And a slasher?
Absolutely.
Because that's where Oladipo was at his best. Like when if you put the ball in his hands, it actually wasn't great.
Yeah, only like that Indiana
kind of
year.
like J-Dub, right? Like you want J-Dub to be able to play off of Shea.
Yeah. It's almost weird though at the rim. I don't really I can't put my finger on why he couldn't finish.
Yeah, right. He was like,
he have small hands.
Maybe, I don't know. Man, the combine. There's been so many numbers. Do you guys think the NBA teams believe in that type of stuff as much as we make it out to be? Yes. Okay.
100%.
Right.
Measurables. Yeah. Measurables because
100%.
it's one of the few things that when you get them and you know they're accurate, that you actually know. You can say,
right.
I know this guy has a 7'2" wingspan. I know his vertical is this, right? Like, I mean, those little things really do.
They do matter. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when the Raptors were drafting Scotty Barnes, they like dropped a video after they drafted him, and it was them measuring his hand, and it was the largest hand that they had measured since Kawhi. And they were like, that was a big thing for them. It's like the dude has massive hands, which is apparently a huge thing for finishing at the basket, like you said with VJ Edgecombe.
Yeah.
Maybe he has small hands. Maybe that's it.
I'm gonna ask actually.
Yeah,
I have a measurement guy.
Yeah, but that could also be like a Morey guy, because Daryl Morey likes his like two-way type defensive guys, and that would work really well with Philly, So I don't know.
Interesting. You think that he would go there over
hands than Ace Bailey?
I think Ace could drop. I feel like Ace could drop. Just because a lot of people thought he was like the 6'10". You talked about measurables. People thought this guy was like a 6'10" shot creator, MPJ type, and measuring out to be like 6'7". Looks pretty regular compared to what people thought he was. So maybe there's a chance he drops.
That's why I'm telling you that stuff matters.
That stuff, yeah.
I mean, I've got a buddy, Mike Weisenberg, who covers the draft, and he actually goes to prep events and he gets measurements. He's there doing like height, weight, vertical, because these guys want to know, and it's a good way to get information. And teams really want to know that stuff. If you actually, the truth is, if people ask me how to get into like basketball, you want to work in basketball, go out to high level middle school tournaments and start with a tape measure and get started. That's where the curve is on like scouting players right now. Is 8th graders.
What do you think about Khan measuring at 6'5"? That's another guy that's like Khan can nipple somebody that people like. I think he's risen up a bunch of draft boards, but like 6'5" without shoes, 6'6" wingspan.
Can he shoot it enough?
He's a really good shooter. Yeah,
absolutely.
On the move.
Yeah, he's either the best or second best shooter.
I think I saw one Duke game this year.
Yeah, I like him. I think he can really play.
He would have been a great pick for OKC if they had kept that pick. That would have been.
Yeah,
that would have made a lot of sense.
Yeah, the Thunder. I mean, now that he's only measuring at 6'5", there's like numbers like 6'7", floating around. I think he's
but functional height, right? Like, what's his shoulder height? What's his wingspan? What's his standing reach? Like this is the
wingspan is 6'6", standing reach 8.5 feet.
So he's 6'6" functionally on a basketball court.
Yeah. I think wingspan is more important than height.
He got a short neck.
No, he doesn't.
I just tried to make us laugh at this point.
No, I'm into that too.
But that's true. These are all.
I'm into that.
Yeah, it really is a real thing. Like, you ever watch a guy play and it looks like he's got high hips? That's real.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Thon Maker.
I call it
high hips, high hips. You never get a
Poku was a high hips guy.
Yeah, you never. So think about how you have to play. It's all you can only really face up. You're never gonna back anybody down. You're gonna be it's gonna be hard for you to guard in the paint. Like especially if you're a big and you've got high hips. So like this stuff, the biomechanics matter. That's what I mean. If you want if you're drafting a guy and you're looking for a shooter, Short arms.
Let me ask you guys this, because there's been some conversation about Cooper and like how he would fit in Dallas with what they do, because they have obviously I think he would fit really well next to Anthony Davis, obviously. But there's also the question of like, all right, where does that leave Lively? Where does that leave Gafford? Where does that leave PJ Washington? Do they make more trades because they have to extend or pay a few of those guys? You think Cooper can play the 3? Can he play the 3 and have AD be the 4 and then Gafford or Lively be the 5?
Where's that spacing coming from?
Right. Yeah, that's the problem, is space and creation is like, that's going to be their biggest problem next year is those things. I mean, if in all honesty, if I'm them, I'm trading Anthony Davis.
Yeah, absolutely. They're not going to do it.
I know they're not going to do it. I know they're not going to do it, but here's the things that I would do. There's some hilarious stuff.
Well, is Nico going to survive? Like, does Nico make it to even make these decisions? Is number one thing. Like,
he shouldn't, but I think he will.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think we're all like a little too comfortable with the idea that he's not getting out of there.
He shouldn't. What if Nico calls
he fixed the draft?
No. What if he calls Rob Pelinka and he's like, hey,
oh no,
what about the number 1 pick and all of the pick that you gave me for Luka Doncic back? And then it's
with the Lakers. I feel like the Lakers would at least consider it.
I think that you'd have to think about it.
No.
So
no way.
That would be like, all right, now we're pro wrestling.
That's I was gonna say that's like you ever known anybody who got divorced and then got remarried to their ex?
Yes, and gotten back together.
And you're just like, yeah, that's what that would be.
It's like, what are we doing this for?
Yeah.
But then he gets Luka and Anthony Davis. I do think that they should consider trading AD
100%.
Because I do like the fit with him and Lively, with Coop and Lively. Like, I love that. And then
especially if Lively can shoot.
Go get somebody that can create.
Man, imagine if they had
guys, they're not
an offensive hub.
They're not going to do it. They're absolutely not going to do it. But you know what? He should.
Yeah.
He should absolutely trade Anthony Davis today. But defense wins championships, man.
Yeah.
So he's not going to do that.
I mean, the thing is, they're not going to be as good because Kyrie's going to be out. Yeah. Who are they going to get to play guard?
That's what I'm saying. They should make a trade. Like, they should. I would call Rob Pelinka and be like, hey, Derek Lively for Austin Reeves. There you go. Or
no.
Daniel Gafford.
Daniel Gafford. Yeah. You know what? That's not enough
for
the Lakers for Austin Reeves.
Oh, absolutely not.
Yeah. It's got to be more than that. I don't think Dallas has the juice to get really. Like Lively, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Lively for Austin.
But I'm not giving up Lively. But Nico might. I don't know. You never know. It's a weird situation, but I do think like the smart move would be move on. It's similar to what you've got like Boston has a similar kind of situation, right? Like Kyrie's going to be out next season, most of the year, and what's he going to look like right when he comes back? Probably not great if we're judging on history.
Yep.
Okay, so next year is probably if it's not a lost season, you're in the play-in in the West at best.
They were in the play-in this year.
That's what I mean, right? So you're right back where you were. So does that make any sense? Anthony Davis is 31. He'll be 30 next year's his age 32 season. So by the time you're even thinking about actually be competitive, it's a whole nother calendar year. He's 33. You're about to sign him to another max because that's just how the NBA works. And your competitive window is already closed.
Yeah.
Because Kyrie's going to be 36 when he comes back. 35.
This is why we're just guys now.
Got to do it. Got to do it. And then when you bring Kyrie back in February, March to just show, hey, look, this guy, guess what? His legs work. He's Kyrie. Right? And you get that nice little hope run where Cooper Flagg, he solidifies his rookie of the year case. Derek Lively looks great again because they're playing with Kyrie. Everybody goes into the summer. move Kyrie, and now you're ready to actually restart. And you've got these two guys in Lively and Cooper Flagg that are going to bring you to a level of defense that most young teams never hit.
Yeah.
I think that Andrew, like, I know it's a funny thing to say, like, oh, they should move Dave. Absolutely the right basketball move is to trade Anthony Davis.
No question.
Man,
None.
I mean, I actually really love that argument, but there's just no way. There's just no way.
It's not going to
would the Knicks do something? I don't know. I'm looking in the East, right? I think that if you're Dallas, you're calling up some of these Eastern Conference teams and you're selling them on the idea Anthony Davis could get you to the Eastern Conference Finals or to the finals. If you look at it next year, right? Like Boston's out of it.
You know who AD would be sick with? The Pacers. My God, would the Pacers be awesome with Anthony Davis? Swap him in.
Miles Turner?
No, take Miles Turner. You could, whatever you want to do, whatever the
those above the break threes with Miles Turner are super important.
But
they are massive. But
would you trade Nembhard?
Nope.
Yeah, that's kind of tough. That's where the issue.
That's the thing, though. That's the thing about any of these trades that we're talking about with Anthony Davis, which are fictional and not going to happen.
Yeah.
But you need a creator back.
Right.
Yeah. That's the thing. Is like Nembhard. That's something that I would consider.
Defense wins championships.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it would be amazing. The problem is like trading him out east. There's a lot of teams that need creators.
Man,
in the East.
If I'm looking at the East,
Brooklyn.
Yeah,
Brooklyn would do it.
Yeah,
sure they would. What player do they have to trade?
Cam Thomas.
That's the problem.
Draft pick.
They don't have it. That's the problem. Like, if I'm Dallas, I would like to have
a guy,
somebody coming back that can create a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Brooklyn's got Cam Johnson is like the only valuable player on their team.
Yeah.
That's Claxton. But like beyond those two, it's like they don't have any players. That's what's such a bummer for them. It's that
you need a young creator.
Yeah.
How many are there?
There's not that many.
Right.
And you typically can't get them either.
Right. It's hard to get that guy.
What? Somebody in the chat made a joke about Tyler Hero.
Yeah.
And that would be the funniest. Yes. Now that would be the funniest thing is you trade for Tyler. I mean, but that's unrealistic.
All-star Tyler.
He is an all-star. How many teams would want Anthony Davis just in the league? Okay.
A lot.
10, 12, right?
Yeah.
Chicago.
For sure. Ooh. Now hold on.
Kobe White.
Now that is,
but you need more than just Kobe White. But yeah.
Well, it's Chicago. Come on, they're going to give you the farm, right? Like, are we allowed to borrow future draft picks from 50 years from now to get Anthony Davis? I do think the Chicago would be interesting, and honestly, he could play next to Vooch.
Mm-hmm.
That works pretty nicely.
You would kind of like to.
Right. And Giddey, give Giddey someone.
To your point, if someone in the East is like, man, we're one piece away, we're like.
That's my thing.
Orlando. I don't know. Orlando's like, hey, let's get Anthony
I think
Davis.
that's a trickier one.
Yeah, it is. But like, I'm thinking of a team that's decent enough, you know.
I mean, what about, you have to rope some other teams in, but like, would the Sixers want to trade Paul George for Anthony Davis in some sort of a way that sends Paul George not to Dallas, right?
Yeah.
Right?
I would want Maxey. Give me Maxey in Dallas.
Well, and we don't know, like,
Maxey though.
No. But like AD next to Embiid.
Mm-hmm.
If Embiid's playing,
Yeah,
you can't get another. No, you can't.
Okay, look. This is funny. You guys bringing this up though, because the East is wide open next year, right? Absolutely wide open. Cleveland's probably going to run it back.
I don't know. The Pacers might win 65 games next year.
Yeah, maybe, possibly. The Knicks will probably win a lot of games. Yeah, if they keep it together, they'll win. Those two are probably the two best teams other than Cleveland, right?
Cleveland's going to,
do the same thing.
All right, we got to stop talking about the East. Listen, okay.
I'm just saying,
Yeah, I know. It is completely open because like no one is going to believe in the Cavaliers at all. They could win. They could win 75 games, and people will be like,
"They're the Atlanta Hawks."
Cool, good job, everybody. You're gonna lose in the second round again. Yeah, it is. It is absolutely wide open. If you're an East executive, like this is the time to be aggressive. You know.
Yeah, especially because you just need 1 year. You know, like you look at
Well, what about this
year, right?
I think the Celtics are in an interesting position, right? We already heard. I mean, we know like their payroll is not sustainable.
Yeah.
They have to get off these players. Horford, I don't know if he's going to retire or what.
Yeah.
Porzingis, I think they've got to move Porzingis.
And then Holiday.
Should they try to reset?
It is. You would never want this to happen to your star player. But if you're the new ownership group, you've been kind of given a free pass.
Right.
To do what you need to do and just like essentially go into the next Jaylen Brown.
How big of a reset are you saying?
See, this is the question here, because is Jaylen Brown a part
Absolutely.
of the next version? You think so?
Okay. Yes. What else are you going to do?
Yeah, it's hard to trade that.
How are you going to get a player that's as good as Jaylen Brown?
I don't know.
Giannis.
I mean, Giannis.
Jaylen Brown, all your picks for Giannis.
That is a thing.
That is a thing. It is a thing.
What about Anthony Davis?
I don't think that Anthony Davis fits there.
I mean, the Giannis thing is intriguing.
I don't think that would happen, but I guess to your point, like that's the type of upgrade you need to make.
What about this? What about you play? I mean, I know that there's no way Dallas is trading that pick, but man, I would have called Nico immediately and said, "Hey, how about Jaylen Brown for the number 1 pick?"
Jaylen Brown's really good.
He is really good. This is my point, though. Yeah. My point is that he is really good. He is the most valuable not available, because I don't think he is actually available, but he would be the most valuable thing that the Celtics would have. And if you were going to do a reboot, I think about the Herschel Walker trade a lot.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, Herschel Walker was traded from the Dallas Cowboys to the Minnesota Vikings for a huge haul of picks that set the Cowboys up to win multiple titles and be competitive throughout the 90s, right? Like
the Paul George trade. You can talk about one that people actually know about.
They might know. Sorry, that one, from when I was a kid. So I would talk about Willie Mays or whatever. But
it just trade netted the Thunder, Shea.
Well, wait, let's do a Boston version of this. The Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce trade gave them Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum.
Absolutely.
There you go. So absolutely. This would be a thing, and the difference being Jaylen Brown's in his prime.
Yeah,
and so, but I just think like Tatum is the star. The salaries, their payroll is crazy. Mm-hmm. This would be an interesting time for them to pivot. They were going to have to pivot anyway.
Okay, what if they pivot a different way? What if they trade Porzingis, trade Drew Holiday? Tatum is obviously out next season.
Yeah.
It's Derek White and Jaylen Brown next season with Peyton Pritchard and Xavier Tillman and whatever. And that's probably you're probably like a play-in team, maybe a little bit better than a play-in team in the Eastern Conference.
6 seed.
Right.
5 seed. I mean, it's the East.
But what if they don't be a playoff team? What if they do the Mavericks thing or the Warriors thing, the gap year, right? Where it's like, let's go get Steph some help. Now they went and got James Wiseman. But
yeah, Jaylen Brown's gonna
have a wrist injury.
Have to have a surgery,
right? Yeah.
I
don't know, man.
See,
you can't have. Listen,
why can't you tank?
I don't think Jaylen Brown can have a lost season in his prime. Do you know what I mean?
It's not ideal,
but that would be an interesting idea. I mean, and then you come back the next season and you have whatever that draft pick winds up being, which they could turn into a player, and then you have Derek White, Jaylen Brown, and Jason Tatum for the new version of what you're making.
Yeah. And next year's draft is great too, and you get a chance at we just saw Dallas do it. Why not the Boston Celtics?
That's
true. Okay, so let's go back to the lottery.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Who are the teams that are most sick to their stomachs? Let's do like a throw up ranking of teams that are most sick to their stomach after this lottery.
Utah's number one, right?
Got to be.
Utah's got to be number one for many, many reasons.
Yeah.
Utah is in such a tough spot because one, they don't have anybody to build around right now.
Right.
They have Markkanen, but beyond that, what other player on their roster would net a first-round pick in a trade?
Honestly, no one.
Nobody.
No one. Yeah. Like
Nobody.
maybe Walker Kessler, like a bad first-round pick.
It would have to be a fake one, right?
Yeah.
And one that turns into 2 seconds or the 28th pick. Because, I mean, he's like on a bad team and has been benched.
George net you a first-round pick?
Did you trade a first for Keontae?
I don't know if I would.
Like if you're the Raptors,
no.
See?
No.
Yeah. No.
Yeah,
no, they have no talent.
That's that I agree. They're number one in that they had the best odds. They fell to 5. This is part of it. And now they got to go do the work. And the problem is, if you're a Jazz fan, they've not drafted well.
No.
Like they flat out have not drafted well.
No, they have
not. And like that to me is the biggest issue, is that now you have to rely on a team that's not done very well. And so like that, I mean, last year, Cody Williams at 10, the year before, Taylor Hendricks at 9, Keontae at 16. That's
the other guys last year could be okay though, like Filipowski.
Filipowski's going to be a nice third big for somebody.
I'm trying to throw them a bone here.
Yeah.
I'm not,
He's a Plumlee.
Collier is a tough one. I feel like I think he had some moments for them.
Yeah,
but it's hard to know what's real with him.
100%. Well, it's the same thing as Keontae George. It's like both those guys.
I just think they're just in a really tough spot.
They need to be bad again next year, and
they have no other choice.
Go through the exact same process that they did this year, and it's gonna stink for Jazz fans to watch that. But it's just that's the world.
I don't know, guys. Yeah. I actually don't know.
You think they should go for someone?
Look, Cam Boozer. You gotta at least think about it. I love that.
Future Modern says that Utah should sign Kuminga.
I think it's a great idea.
That's a fun pick.
Great idea. I think he would do well there. Actually.
He would. I agree.
Him and Lowry.
Somebody has to score the points.
Exactly.
That's right. Yeah. The thing is though that they just are at such a dearth for talent that there's no path to contention for them. So best team they could put together doesn't even make the play in probably.
Mm-hmm.
Not in the West. That's the thing.
Absolutely not. No.
That's one of their biggest issues, is that they're in the Western Conference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They petitioned to move.
They should.
You know what? Minnesota is going to move at some point when the expansion happens.
Are we for sure it's Minnesota? For sure it's Minnesota.
It's either Minnesota or Memphis.
Yeah. I'm kind of a Memphis guy.
You're a Memphis guy? How about New Orleans?
I think I've told you this before.
We have talked about this. Yeah.
Tennessee touches a state that
is in
the ocean.
Yeah, right.
Come on.
Let me ask you guys. Could Utah start slinging those picks around?
Sure. For what?
I don't know.
Yeah, you could.
You know
Anthony
what?
Davis?
The one type of player that I think could make something interesting is like if they go for LaMelo, Trae Young, Ja Morant, one of those guys.
One of those guys that they definitely can't trade for.
Yeah. They just
because if you're one of those teams, you need players back.
Yeah.
We'll take Larry Markkanen.
Bradley Beal. Does Bradley Beal like skiing? I know he likes the nice weather in Phoenix, but how does he feel about skiing?
Can ski? Can you even ski?
Yeah, you're not allowed to.
Oh yeah, he probably can't.
Not even allowed to ski, even if he liked it.
How does he feel about sledding? How does he feel about cold weather?
So Utah is the worst. Utah is the worst.
Utah is the team that I look at that I do not see a path.
They never should have traded. They never should have traded Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert. They should have just tried to keep him for as long as they could.
Or
because they're never going to be into that. Like, how do they get there again without tanking into?
They have to tank. That's the only thing. It's just keep tanking until you get your guy. That's it. That's all.
They should have tanked harder in years past. And if you're going to spread that over 3 seasons, then you're going to have a much better chance of eventually landing in the spot that you want to land, but instead you do this soft tank that lands you at 9 and 23 and at 10 and 24. And that's your own fault. Yeah. And then you pick the wrong guy in both drafts.
Yeah, maybe that's the lesson to take here. It's like tank harder.
Commit
as hard as you possibly can for years.
No, I think the thing is, like, commit to a plan.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Commit to a plan, because you will die in the middle. Yeah. You will die. That is where teams go to die, is whenever you're picking 9th, 10th, 11th every single year. And you're just hoping that one of those guys turns into Shea or Kawhi or whoever else. And for Utah, they haven't done a good enough job to get that guy. And so
Chicago Bulls.
Chicago, the first team I thought of was
absolutely. You have to commit. You just have to commit one way or the other. And if your commitment is, well, we'll see what happens, and then in March we'll just pull the plug, well, then you're going to be picking 9th for the rest of the way, because teams have already committed.
Yeah.
You know, and like the problem is, like, the Jazz are in a bad spot, but they're picking 5th this year because they did commit. You know, and eventually you're going to find somebody, you know, in that spot, or you're going to land at number 1. I mean, we mentioned Detroit. Detroit has been in a bad spot for a while, but they're coming out of this with Cade and Asar Thompson.
Right.
Like, you have to feel pretty good about that. We'll see what Jaden Ivey brings to the table, but they have guys. Like, you could have first-round pick for all the guys that we just mentioned.
You know, Detroit was able to sign these role players that they got because they had some hope, because
they had some infrastructure.
For sure. They committed, and a lot of people dogged on them, including me.
Yeah,
but they figured it out, and it's because they committed to a plan. Like, this is our plan.
6 years of we are going to be.
And we could argue they were a year behind because of Monty Williams.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. Yeah.
I thought that year was a wasted year. Yeah.
Can I just say, before we make our second pick here, that I will pitch that it should not be the Washington Wizards. I do not think the Washington Wizards second pick in the worst thing draft.
No, they're fine.
I actually think it's like they have a pretty decent group. They draft pretty well, actually. Yeah. And at 6, they'll be able to find a guy, whatever that guy could be for them. So I'm actually not. I'm not that sad if I'm a Wizards fan. I am sad. I'm a little bit sad that I don't get 1 or 2. You
should definitely be sad. But the turnover of the new regime, things have
been better,
gone well, and they've committed. Like, I think that
exactly.
Coulibaly, Alex Sarr, Bub Carrington, those are guys that you're like, okay, like I like all those guys. I believe that they can find somebody, you know, to join.
And they're probably going to do it again next year.
Yeah, well, they're going to just be bad, right?
Yeah.
Like, no matter what, they're just not. They don't have enough talent. They're going to be bad. And so they have to lean in, but they're developing.
Yeah.
Well, Alex Sarr was a different player by the end of the year.
Yeah. And Will Dawkins knows how to do this.
Right.
You know, he knows
they just started the teardown. This is, by the way, amazing job security. I love it.
Is to start the teardown.
Well,
yes,
listen, let me tell you, I've been here 3 years tearing it down. We haven't even started the teardown. Listen, this is like a 7-year program that we're on. Judge me year 8. Guys, judge me in year 8.
And it could backfire. I mean, we saw Troy Weaver, who's another Presti guy.
Yeah.
It completely backfired on him in Detroit until.
Okay, but that was for different reasons, right? Like, I mean, if you hire
Troy Weaver drafted well. I'm just saying.
He drafted the plan.
I know.
You have to have luck along the way, and there were some things that Weaver did that were not great for sure. Also, shout out to the previous Wizards regime for going out taking Johnny Davis before everything just crumbled for them.
Yeah,
at 10. Shout out.
Bradley Beal contract.
Yep, Bradley Beal contract. I like what they're doing now, though. Sarr.
No. I think there's hope. There's hope that exists there for Wizards fans today. And picking 6th is not ideal, but if you get a Jeremiah Fears or Konkanipple or one of those guys, I feel like their roster is set up in a way where they can just kind of take on whatever they need.
Yeah.
Who can they talk into Jordan Poole?
Dallas.
Okay.
You're picking up what I'm throwing down, Andrew. Get a guard in there.
It is. I mean,
he doesn't play defense.
You don't. It's all good. You got the other guys to play.
We're not trying to win a championship next year.
That's right.
So
Jordan Poole for I don't know. I guess Gafford, PJ Washington, one of those two. I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Is it just we can talk Dallas into anything?
I know.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
2 years over $60 million left.
What if Jordan Poole was in Orlando?
I would like that as well. I think that would be fun.
That would work.
Oh,
You don't like? I say get any guard, anybody who could dribble on the Orlando.
Somebody said Colin Sexton in the chat, and
Sure.
I actually think that he would be great coming off the bench in Orlando.
Yeah, sure.
yeah.
But he can't be the
scares
starter.
me.
No,
Poole
he's not the
scares me.
full-time starter. Yeah.
Poole could start there.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, you still need a tank commander if you're the Wizards. You know, like who's going to do that now?
Oh, they have. I completely forgot. Also, they have Marcus Smart and Chris Middleton just like there. So that's also.
They're not going to be there.
You think they'll trade him? Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are nice trade chips. I mean, this is
who's second
Middleton
for you
looked
guys.
good down the
Washington is
stretch,
not
too.
second.
I mean, for me, it's Brooklyn,
Yeah, I agree.
and they're
Yeah.
kind of doing the quasi tank thing.
Yeah, they're doing the Utah thing. Yeah,
They're Utah East right now, and that they both have good coaches. Great job on the hires.
mm-hmm.
It's looking pretty good there, but like void of talent. They're in probably a worse spot in my opinion than Utah is, because like who? Okay, so name me their top 3 young players.
Claxton. Is he young?
It's on the
still?
second contract,
Right. That's the thing. Is like
Maybe Noah Clowney.
Okay, let's look up Noah Clowney's stats. Hold on.
no, they don't have any talent.
Young player.
It's
Does Cam
Thomas.
Does Cam Thomas still count as a
It's
young
Cam
player?
Thomas and a bunch of scrubs.
Sure.
Okay, Cam Thomas, Nick Claxton, Zaire Williams. That's my final 3.
Oh, woof.
That's my final 3. That's my pick.
I think that's worse than Utah's.
Are they the team that makes a bad trade this summer?
You could sell yourself on that, but I think that would be more dumb than just tanking another year.
Yeah, like the thing about that is, you make a trade for a good player, you are so far away.
Yeah,
because you have no talent. That's the most talent void team, and everybody talks about, man, the league is so talented. The Nets are over here like, what are you talking about?
They play so hard, though. They play wildly hard, which is what their quality was last season.
That's really cool. I'm really happy for them, but it leads to them being in no man's land. It leads to them being in absolute no man's land. I mean, it's kind of a problem. Like they need to. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you keep Cam Johnson at this point just because he is like one of the only talented people on your team.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but it's rough. Like you got D'Lo Redux going on here. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I think you agree. I agree that it's Brooklyn number 2. Who's 3? Be the Raps? I don't know.
Maybe Charlotte.
Yeah,
Raps is tough. I mean, Charlotte's had some luck in the lottery recently.
Charlotte has some talent.
Yeah,
they have talent. They have guys that you would trade first for.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
If you're doing that test, you know, the Raptors did like the quasi tank thing that we've been talking about.
Mm-hmm.
They did, yeah.
Like kind of in no man's land. Their roster is so weird.
It's a mess.
It is a weird roster,
but it's been a mess. It's been a mess for years now.
Yeah.
With no direction. Like you look at their roster for the last 3 or 4 years, and it's gone. I don't know. It went from this Project 6-9 thing,
Vision, yeah,
to Vision 6-9. That's right.
Yeah.
Project 610 is actually working in Orlando, right? Like because they got good players.
Yeah,
that's the thing about the Raptors is like they commit to like Emmanuel Quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
who was racing to give him that money?
Nobody really. Yeah, they weren't competing against anybody. They were just being nice.
Is there some kind of scam going on with the Raptors?
I think they have. I think the Brandon Ingram trade to me is an indication that they have a lot of pressure to become a playoff team quicker than they probably want to themselves. Like there's probably pressure from ownership to get them to a certain level, be a playoff team next season. And I think now, especially with the rest of the East, you could probably sell yourself on this team being like a top 8 team in the East just because of the way it is. Yeah, I think you could. I mean, look, like they're going to get another 9 pick here or whatever, 9th overall pick.
Mhm.
That's going to be a guy. I don't know if he's going to play. We'll see. But their starting 5 plus whatever rotation players that they have next year is decent enough to be able to be a competitive team in the East next year. I think that's their goal. At least that is their goal next season.
Who's your guy? Who's your guy at 9?
I don't know. I'm like whatever falls to them at this point. I think Derek Queen would be a lot of fun. That would be a lot of fun for me. I am starting to sell myself on this Colin Murray Boyles guy.
Yeah.
But like the dude for me would be Derek Queen.
Derek Queen. Yeah. All gas, no brakes.
All gas, no brakes. Yep. He's just fun. I think he's just a cool player. They like to run a lot of high post stuff with the playmaking with Jakob and Scotty. He just fits exactly what they need from a big man spot. Even though I know there's a lot of like, come on, Malawach talk because he's ginormous. And he's obviously like very specifically like a Masai type guy.
Yeah, he is.
But I don't know. I'm not necessarily sold.
At some point, you got to just get the best player.
Yeah, totally.
Like, that's it. That's it. The Toronto Raptors just need to take the best player every single year instead of like trying to find some archetype that doesn't actually exist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, otherwise, like, what's the point? Like, they are just going to spin. They're the Chicago Bulls north of the border. To me,
I think they're better than the Bulls.
Look, they got Kawhi Leonard in one of the luckiest trades ever. And if they don't win that title, I think we all feel completely differently about how the Raptors have been.
Well, absolutely. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so, you know, but the last few years, it's just a mess, man. Like, it's such a weird basketball team. And I don't even know what they're trying to accomplish anymore.
They became too sentimental with like Fred, Pascal, OG, those guys. They held too long for those, right? Like Andrew Nembhard was on the table for Pascal Siakam last summer. They decided, or 2 summers ago.
Yeah.
They decided not to trade him. And now you look back and you're like, Andrew Nembhard would be pretty great on this Raptors team.
Yeah.
They had an option to trade for DeJounte Murray, which was another thing. I'm not necessarily in love with that, but that's whatever. That was an option. They had an offer for 3 picks for OG Anunoby, 3 picks in Bojan Bogdanovic from the Knicks before they traded him for RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickly. There's like Fred VanVleet, they had an offer for 1st and a 2nd. Like those things were there, and they didn't necessarily.
The Raptors may have the hardest path to building a team, period, because they're in Canada, right? Like that actually does make it more difficult.
Yeah, it does. It totally does. You have to be so good at drafting, and you have to be as opportunistic as possible. Like you have to trade. Yeah. And you have to be ready to trade at all. I think that's one of the things that's helping them here is like they have a lot of salaries that they can trade and they have all their picks. So if there is a dude that they like, they can try and go out and get him.
Would Giannis do Toronto?
I mean, I don't know what the trade would be unless you're including Scotty.
It has to include Scotty.
Yeah. So
from Milwaukee.
Yeah. And so it's like Scotty and your picks or
all
whatever.
The picks.
Yeah. That's the version of the trade. I don't know if the Raptors would be down. Honestly, I don't know if they'd be down. It's like because it's like the Nets thing. It's like, are they close to competing if they trade?
Do they have enough?
They're way closer than the Nets.
Yeah.
They are way closer than the Nets. Yes, but are they close enough? Are they like? Do we feel like we have a chance next season with Jason Tatum out and all that type of stuff to trade for y'all? Maybe I don't know.
I mean, maybe. But they're like, why are you trading for Brandon Ingram? Like, what are you?
They just want to make the playoffs. They just want gate revenue. They would like to.
Again, why did you trade for Brandon Ingram then? If that's what you want.
All that success down in New Orleans, and they said, we need a taste of that.
His ankle, man. There was some stuff, but I think.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
Well, like, I mean,
he was out for months, and it wasn't the tanking. It wasn't like they were just holding him back for tank purposes.
Yeah.
It was like, we need to build out a long-term plan for this guy to be healthy with his ankle, you know?
Is he getting? He gets an extension this summer, right?
He already got an extension.
Oh, he got the extension. Okay, I couldn't remember whether he was due one or he got it.
He got the extension.
That's insane to hear. I didn't hear anything about this.
Listen, Dave, when you have the chance to lock in the Raptors core, you do it. You take it.
Oh my God, the Raptors are the saddest franchise, man.
They're going to be a playoff team next year.
They're not the saddest team. They're not the saddest team. They're in the East. They actually have talent. They have guys that you get a first for. Yeah. They're not the saddest team.
No, they're sad.
They're the weirdest team, though.
They are weird. They are undeniably a strange basketball team.
Like, what's the basketball direction of the franchise, right? Like, I mean, you're not building around Scotty Barnes because he's not that guy.
Let's acquire all the players that people probably don't want to trade for.
Yeah, and then hope that they become a little bit better so that they can trade them for guys that are better.
Give Emmanuel quickly a 5-year, $130 million contract just in case.
Yeah, I used to do these kind of trades on 2K back in the day, where it's like, you know what, I could get that guy. Like you have to spend that much to get him. Let's just bring him on. He's talented, and then like you get this team where it's like, I have Jakob Poeltl, RJ Barrett, Brandon Ingram, Emmanuel quickly. Like, what did I do? I got to start over, reset. You know?
yeah.
What have I done? How did I get here? That's how it feels. Okay, so anybody else that should be feeling bad about the position that they're in?
Man, honestly, I don't.
How about the Bulls?
I mean, the Bulls. Look. The Bulls had it bad. They lose the coin flip that becomes the Mavs' #1 pick
because of that Josh Giddey shot that went down.
And they're gonna pay Josh Giddey.
They're gonna pay Josh Giddey more than Emmanuel quickly. By the way, they're definitely gonna pay Josh Giddey more than Emmanuel quickly.
You think they are? You think they're going more than $30 million a year?
100.
32.5 a year.
32.5 a year. They will pay more than Emmanuel quickly. Yes.
Wow. See, that was the thing. Like, whenever the Thunder had him, was like, okay, what are you going to extend him for? It's like he's going to have to take a big fat discount to stay here.
Well, I got to be the nerd and be like the percentage of the cap thing. 32.5 is going to be like 18% in a couple of years, so it's not that bad.
Right.
30.
Yeah. It is going to look bad though.
Yeah.
Immediately bad.
They're going to sign him for like a 5-year, 80. What is that?
Team is it is addicted to bad decisions.
Are they gonna trade Kobe White? Is my question, because they
probably
because
it's a bad decision. I don't understand. I do not understand why the Bulls
$45 million a year.
The Bulls get such a pass in the national media, like they just get ignored, actually, which is somehow even worse. There's not even a level of disdain by people. Remember when the Knicks were bad and it was like, oh, this is awful. It's like a moral crisis in the NBA. Like, oh man, like the Lakers, they're not allowed to be bad.
Mm-hmm.
And they never are. But the Bulls have just been bad forever. They lucked into Derrick Rose and they had a nice little run.
They did.
And it fell apart. And outside of that and Michael Jordan, they have just been awful.
Yeah. Yeah, they really have been.
They should be amazing. Like this is like one of the biggest media markets. It's Chicago. They're the Bulls.
Yeah.
This is a situation where I wish the NBA would just, pull a Pelicans, go in. Hey, we're just going to take this team, and we're going to hand it to some basketball people and see what happens.
Yeah, they were fun this year though. There were some stretches that were really fun for them in the regular season. Were there not?
Fun team. We talked about how fun they were. They were
Kobe White and Lonzo Ball. That sign me up. That's must watch.
They are going to
trade for Anthony Davis. Trade for Anthony Davis.
Wasn't that a thing at some point? Him to Chicago.
Yeah. Well, he's from Chicago. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
We do that with everybody.
Yeah.
That's right. Still waiting for Blake Griffin to come back here. It's gonna be great.
He's not even going to come back when he's doing TV next year.
Trae Young to OKC. Let's go.
Yeah.
Trey Alexander sitting on the bench for the Nuggets. He's from here. Get him on a 2-way.
Hey, before we head out of here, how are you feeling? OKC Denver. You think they close it out? Game 6?
Oh,
are we going to Game 7?
I mean,
I have zero confidence.
I have done like 3 podcasts about this since the game last night. And I think I flip-flopped like twice because like I try to go with my gut in the moment and my gut is flip-flopping every second.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean,
I do that on the radio.
Yeah.
If I was doing Oklahoma City radio, hey, you know what? This is going 7. Denver's going to win. I'm in Denver. I'm like, I don't know how Denver wins game 6.
Dude, this series has been so close. You know, like any criticism that's going anybody's way is probably not justified, in my opinion, because it has been so close. You know, you're a Aaron Gordon, you know, prayer shot in game 1 away from the Thunder being finished with this series.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know. I mean, you're still waiting on like the real Jamal Murray game to happen. Like maybe that happens, maybe it doesn't. You know, you're waiting on the Thunder to have another game where like game 2 where they just absolutely dismantled them because they shot the ball well. You know, you're waiting on a game like that to happen. Every game has looked so different. You know, there's not like a pattern to this. You know, in game 4, there were like hardly any points in the paint. Mm-hmm. Last night, they both scored exactly 50 points in the paint. You know, 100 total points scored in the paint last night. So like none of these games have like the same pattern. There's no rhythm to this series. It is a chess match, back and forth, just punch for punch. You know, great playoff series, great basketball. Great. I think
this is the finals.
It very well could be. Tactically, it's been great. Both teams have played well. It's good to see Jokic wake up, and like he was incredible last night.
That shot was unreal.
He top of the key, sophomore shuffle.
Yeah,
come on.
And he's done it a bunch. He did it to the Lakers a couple of years ago. He's so.
Yeah, it happened just like literally right in front of me.
They need the Jamal Murray game in game 6.
Yeah.
Right.
They need it. The thing is, like, the Thunder have done a really good job on him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He got going in the third, right? And we text during the games, right? And that he hit the Murray flurry in the third.
He did.
And I was thinking, oh, okay, he's starting to see the basket. Well, I went back and rewatched. Now he was hitting some wild shots.
He was.
And that's different than when Murray's going. Like the thing is, he's not in shape. He's not. His first step is non-existent, really. Like Dort can stay in front of him without even using his hands, and that's not what playoff Jamal Murray normally is doing, right? Like the mid-range is really how he gets the 3 ball going. It's just not happening. The other thing is he can't post these guys up.
No,
and Jamal Murray actually does a lot of post up. Like he'll get in the high post, he'll get in the mid post, and he's not able to post up OKC's guards. Yeah. He can't get into rhythm. It's a little bit like Jokic was having a similar problem, and he solved it in the last game.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to some people, and the theory that we worked on is part of where Jokic gets hot from 3 is because he gets hot inside, right? So defense starts to sink all of a sudden because it's like, well, we're sending 2 and he's still scoring.
Yeah.
Plus he's seen the ball go in a couple of times. So now you've got that extra step. And his shot, obviously, he can get it off over a lot of people, but it creates that little bit of space that he needs. But there's also the mental aspect, I think, with him of seeing the ball go in. But Murray is I just don't think he's got it like he should.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I mean, the screen navigation from Dort and from Kaysen are just ridiculous.
Well, the screen setting for the Nuggets is actually, I think Gordon's doing a good job. MPJ is not getting physical enough on those screens. I mean, he's dealing with the shoulder thing. He's out there.
Yeah.
You know, and I think Brown is doing a pretty good job of trying to force switches, but it doesn't matter because OKC is just, he's too skinny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We haven't talked enough about how skinny those 2 guards have been for Denver, right? Like in the playoff. I mean, think about KCP last year. Like he was just too small. I think.
Yeah.
They're another team. They are another team that feels
the
like
Nuggets.
They got to make something happen this summer.
I mean, I think that what they did before the end of the season signaled a bit of a sea change.
Yeah. If they don't get out of the series, then like absolutely.
Oh, I think. I mean, look. Even if you win the title,
right?
Even if you win the title, if you're you have to be smart, especially because they don't want to spend money.
Yeah.
They have to be able to do this on the fly around Jokic. And I do think a lot of stuff will be on the table. I mean, I don't think they've got their draft picks aren't going to be good enough, but
no, they only have the one.
Giannis and Jokic would be amazing together.
They just don't have the goods.
They don't have anything to trade.
They don't have anything to trade. Nothing.
Unless Jamal Murray is interesting to the Pelicans, and maybe you take back CJ McCollum, and maybe you can get those picks sent to Milwaukee or something like that. You'd have to be extremely creative. We don't even know who. I mean, is Tim Connolly going to go back?
Yeah, who's running the show? Yeah.
Are we going to get Tim Connolly Bowl 2 in the conference finals, right?
Yeah.
Like if the Nuggets get through and play the Wolves, then does Tim Connolly go, I'll just go to whichever team wins?
Well, no, he'll go to the team that pays him more, and it won't be the Nuggets.
It won't be the Nuggets.
We all know.
It won't be the Nuggets.
Shoot. Thanks so much for tuning in to the live stream. I think we'll have this published on the feed again, so would love some feedback on that. Would love to know if you guys are listening and enjoying this format. Please leave us a 5-star review, leave a comment. You can comment on Spotify. You can comment on the Athletic app. Would love that. You can also send us an email. Let me find that email, because I do want, one thing that I do want is for us to be easily accessed.
Yeah.
Oh, and if you have something going on that, and we've had issues with the Athletic app, and I'm going to start to direct some people on that. And we hear and see your complaints and understand those. And I feel your pain on all of that. But we can, we can direct you guys, to somebody to talk to, because this is all not necessarily decisions that we're making. So NBA Daily at theathletic.com. So email us at NBA Daily at theathletic.com. We'd really appreciate that. Any feedback, good or bad, we want to be accessible. So please do that. I hope you guys have a great day, and we'll talk to you guys again next week.